good.
Presents Leprechaun 4 in Space! Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from ColdSploitation.com, and I'm joined by my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
We're back for another episode of St. Patrick's Day shenanigans. We are doing this episode a little bit early, as we said in previous episodes, mostly because I'm not going to be here during the St. Patrick's Day the actual week of St. Patrick's Day, so we can't do it then. And we have to do Captain Marvel as well, so we can't wait until next week because we're going to have a dual week episode here because we're going to do today's episode, and then next week we're going to have Captain Marvel for you, if everything works out correctly. So, double the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. Woo! What I want to start out with is by just prefacing this by saying that every year, Martin and I subject ourselves to some of the worst cinema known to man with the Leprechaun series. And now, if you've listened to the previous episodes that we've done, you'll know that we don't always dislike the Leprechaun movies. And I think probably the best example of that would be Leprechaun 2, which is one that actually stuck out to us as being not that bad of a Leprechaun movie.
Corny, cheesy,
but at least a little bit enjoyable.
Looking back, I'm like yearning for the first one. Like,
yeah, right. I mean, in that,
like Jennifer Aniston. After that was probably like my career's over. It's ruined. I don't.
At least the first Leprechaun had some familiar faces and at least something going on.
Now with this point in the series, I'm sorry to be really glad that Carl Pilkington gives Warwick Davis a bunch of shit in
An Idiot Abroad.
Yeah,
and where basically just rags on Warwick Davis for no reason.
In fact, I think Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais were being unkind to poor Carl, and they should have just tortured Warwick Davis.
Yeah. I mean, he is the reason why we get to, one of the reasons why we get to the point that we're at now with Leprechaun 4 in space.
You think he signed like a 99 film contract?
I don't know. I mean,
or something like something outrageous. Like
I would think
and he's like, I'm going to be employed for life.
I guess. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know if like in the Leprechaun films, it was sort of like a deal where, especially with like 3 and 4, I could see like them making a deal where it's like, okay, we're going to do 3 and 4, and it sort of is like, I don't know if they did it as like a 2-film series or if because like Leprechaun 3 and 4, they're back to back basically. They're 95 and 96, both directed by Brian Trenchard-Smith. So I'm thinking that the studio, whoever licensed Leprechaun, was like, all right, we're going to do 3 and 4. We're going to do them back to back. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they shot these films back to back. Like shot 3 and 4 on the same sets and just really did some change ups. But the funny thing is, Leprechaun 3 is a much better movie than Leprechaun 4. It's kind of weird. That's saying something. Like, Leprechaun 3 is not a good film, but I will say right off the bat, right off the rip here, and we're not envisioning this episode to be a super long installment of Blood and Black Rum Podcast, but I'm going to say right off the bat, Leprechaun 3 is a much better film than Leprechaun 4. It's more enjoyable. It's got more going for it, at least.
Should have had a tagline.
What's that?
Because it was in Vegas.
Right.
So why wasn't like Leprechaun 3, Viva Leprechaun Vegas,
Well, I'm thinking at this point in the series. Oh, and I'm wrong actually. No, it was 94 and 96. So they technically Wait, am I right? No, 95 and 96. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I'm right. I'm second guessing myself here. But I don't know at this point in the series how much creativity was actually going into Leprechaun. It seems more like they were just like, find a unique setting for Leprechaun.
All I can tell you is, because I brought it up to you, I go, how did this film get this far? This franchise?
Who was like,
nobody ran out to the store to buy Leprechaun 3 and 4.
yeah, I agree.
And obviously the only conclusion that you can come up with is that they just made their money on VHS rentals. They got sold, their stock just basically got sold to video stores around the country, and then,
Well, I think you do end up seeing that with Leprechaun 4, because Leprechaun in the Hood did not come out until 2000. So you had a 4-year gap where people were like, let's take a break in Leprechaun. I don't know who was really pushing for those movies, and especially Leprechaun in the Hood. I don't know who was like going into who produced this one. It was
Lionsgate.
Lionsgate has the rights to it. I don't know if they actually produced this one. Blue Rider Pictures produced this one, but I don't see anybody really going in and being like to Lionsgate, "I've got a great idea for you. We're gonna put Leprechaun in the Hood," and people being like, "Yes, that's what we need right now."
To be honest with you, I envision Leprechaun 5 next year. It has to be better.
Yeah,
it has to be, because this is the worst amalgamation of cliched space tropes ever into a nonsensical fart noise of a film.
I don't even know why we do this to ourselves. Honestly, why do we celebrate the Americanized portrayal of Irish people by watching Leprechaun films? It's just not enjoyable. I'd rather enjoy. I'd even watch the Boondock Saints over this or something.
Well, you're careful now.
I'm gonna upset a lot of listeners here.
Spoiler alert, it's very overrated.
Daryl Dixon's in that one. I'm upset with you.
I just remember getting a little off topic here, but I do remember in college a lot of people were like, you gotta watch this movie, The Boondock Saints, and then I watched it, and I was like, I don't fucking get it.
What's besides like, what's a good Irish movie that we could watch that's not fucking Leprechaun?
Is it Departed?
I was thinking that, but
I'm assuming they're Irish cat
Bostonian. I don't know.
Good Will Hunting.
I'm just thinking like I obviously we're like Warwick Davis contractually obliged to at least finish Leprechaun in the Hood and Leprechaun Back to the Hood. But I'm thinking after that, like, we've gotten ourselves into a predicament here where we're like 3 years out and like, we can't fucking get out of this. We can't get out of this. But I'm thinking, like, what do we do after that? What do we, like, what can we do to, like, maybe not have such a sour taste in our mouth for St. Patrick's Day?
We just don't fucking do it because we're not Catholic.
We're like, we'll skip this one. Yeah. All right.
We'll move on to Easter-themed holidays.
That's true. That's true. I mean, Critters 2 is an Easter movie.
I mean, we already did the nice Catholic holiday of Tenebrae.
True.
Even though it had nothing to do with the holiday, but
Yeah, we should talk about that because St. Patty's Day, Easter, they're pretty separated this year. Like Easter's pretty far out, so
yeah,
you can do an Easter movie.
It's like almost in like the neck of May.
We generally tend to skip Easter movies. We could do an Easter movie. There's not that many, but we could do it. But that's for another time. Let's take a break real quick. Talk about some of the beers we got, because we did. Not only did we get a new beer for this show, or a pack for this show, but we also went to the Saratoga Beer Fest.
Like we do every year.
That's right. It's become a yearly tradition. I don't know. I'm 29 years old, so...
It's been 8 years.
It's been about 8 years.
I think
it's pretty crazy.
We only missed one, so 7.
Yeah.
Because I think the second year we could have went, we didn't go.
We tend to go every year. Check out new beers every year. And what did they have this year? But more IPAs and more porters. It's a big thing.
I'm surprised because they went back to like the roots.
Right, yeah.
For the past couple of years, they've been doing like really goofy stuff.
They'll have like one beer that stands out as being like, that's the it beer this year. And this time they really didn't. I would say the only it beer would be a New England IPA. That's like the it beer.
And I was really surprised no brewed IPAs.
Yeah, me too.
Outside of the Almagang one, that because we've been starting to see that crop up everywhere. But apparently
perhaps that trend has not grown from this area,
or it's already dead because we got. Hey guys, listen, got a great idea. You're gonna love it. You know how we have this nice new IPA style, the New England style, the juicy style, the hazy style? Well, yeah. Can't agree on the name, can't agree on the nomenclature, but it's the hazy and based on, right? How about we do that, but with a pale ale?
Yep, that seems to be...
It'll be a New England pale ale.
That seems to be a newer thing that's
And you know what that tastes like? A regular fucking New England, just like a NIPA. They're just lazy bastards.
I agree. Sometimes they pare back the hops a little bit, but
it's
annoying. The thing that sticks out to me about like the New England pale ales and stuff is like, okay, yeah, it tastes like a pale ale, and it's like the only person that's really going to take that in is somebody who's pouring it out and like using their eyes to drink. They're like, yeah, that is fucking hazy.
Well, not only that too. Unless you're getting on tap or pouring it out.
Yeah.
I'm not making sure when I'm like, guys, I got Saranax polar heat, polar vortex, pouring it out.
Especially when they come in cans. Because the cans are like designed for easy drinking. You crack the can, you drink it.
That's
why I'm looking at, all right, well, when the beer bubbles up to the top of the can on the rim, it's pretty hazy to me.
That's why the past couple of years, like every... it's hard to imagine. There was a time, 6-7 years ago, very hard to get craft beer in cans. Yeah. Just wasn't a thing. Because
everybody was sniffing at it.
Tuffy nose. No, it's got to be bottled. But then they're like, hey, we can make a lot of money selling it in cans. People want it in cans for their camping trip. Not only that, we can do 15 packs, and that's, Yep.
Well, one thing I like about the New England IPAs, too, is that generally the flavor, the hops, is more of a tropical citrusy flavor. It's like, who's getting like nice fresh pineapple in New England? Okay, no one's growing fresh pineapple or mangoes in New England.
They had to have some botanist over there, cross pollinating their hop strains. Yeah,
I just like how that's become the thing. It's
pineapple and guava.
Yeah, pineapple and guava from New England. That's what people think about when they think of New England styles.
I mean,
like a chowder IPA. Yeah.
No, you got something kind of similar to that in the pack that you have, but but no, I mean, I like this style, but it is very hit or miss.
You gotta do it well.
Because the mixing, the juicy tropical flavors of the hops with your IPA, some of them are way too juicy and you totally lose the IPA. Others don't have enough juiciness to it and it tastes like just a regular IPA. It's really kind of hard to tell, And it's a very hard thing to balance. To which I say, I'd rather just drink a Saranac Tropical Storm IPA, and that's not even a New England IPA. That's just like a tropical IPA.
Right.
That's really good. It's like the perfect balance of, nice citrus, tropical fruits and an IPA style.
And I think when we're talking about New England pale ales now, that's an even more difficult balance because now you have to difficultly balance the tropical flavors of that while also getting just a hint of hops
and upping the maltiness.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's an even more difficult balance because I don't know that's really, it's not entirely doable. You have to substitute one for the other. You can't have both. So in this case, I think with the Harpoon pack that we just got, the spring pack, the best example of that is probably their Rec. What's it called? Is it Rec Room Lager? Is that what it is?
Rec Room Session.
Rec Room Session Lager, which is a New England Pale Ale style, but it's a session Pale Ale style. So it's meant to be, it's Rec League. I'm sorry, Harpoon's Rec League New England Pale Ale. It's a New England Pale Ale, but it's meant to be sessioned because it's only 3.5%, and it's got it's like a 33 IBU beer, so it's sort of
it is pretty hoppy.
It is
especially
hoppy,
especially for how light light and sessionable it is. It definitely does have a nice balance. The NIPA style juiciness and the pale ale, yet while being crisp and refreshing, but it doesn't really taste super light, but it's very easy and sessionable to drink.
That's definitely one. They come in a 15-pack besides the 12-pack of the spring
and I would get
seasonal.
that.
And I would definitely get that 15-pack. First of all, it's super light. It's like 120 calories. This is one of those beers that I would consider crushable. Which I'd never really like to use that term, but it certainly is. This one is crushable.
I did see that on
You saw people saying that.
Not only that, on one of the new Sam's packs, they put that on there. Like
crushable.
Oh, yeah, the Sam 76. They're crushable beer, beer
I don't
ale.
love that term. I generally am not crushing a beer, but I will admit that I did crush that Rec League today. That was pretty fast that I drank that. But again, it's like 3.5%, so you're right. It's almost non-alcoholic.
Might as well be near beer.
Yeah.
Just like Heineken's got their new 0%.
Yeah. But I will say that in comparison to Harpoon's other beer that they included in there, which is also a New England Pale Ale, and it's literally just called their New England Pale Ale, that one is a much better balance from what I've tried of yours than the Rec League is a better balance than the New England Pale Ale.
Yeah, the New England's 5.5. It's slightly higher on the IBUs. It's a 38. However, like I said, it's a very delicate balance for the style of NIPAs to mix the juiciness with the IPA or Pale Ale in this case. And this one's way too juicy. You get slight hoppiness to it, no maltiness at all until you're drinking the ass end of the can, where that's all you're getting is just like juice and then like bready, like stale malts. I didn't think it was bad, but I would never have it again. It's just way too not balanced at all. When I like it again, the style's supposed to be mixed together. It's not like you're supposed to be sitting there and like it's like the never-ending gobstopper, or not never-ending gobstopper. Veruca Salt's like meal and a piece of gum, like, oh, first the tomato soup and then the roast beef and ooh, dessert.
Yeah.
So, it's all supposed to mix together well, and to me, I don't think it is.
One other thing that they include in the spring pack, which would be apropos for Leprechaun 4, is the Crake, which is their Irish Red IPA. And I believe we've had it on the show before. We had it at some point. I don't know if it was last year or year before or something like that.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like years ago it was just a red ale.
I don't know. I mean, in this one, I agree that I feel like I don't remember it in the way that it is now.
I don't. I remember it like years ago being like a red ale.
But I actually have come to enjoy this, and I've had 2 of them tonight. And I'll tell you, they're strong red IPAs, but they do have that nice blending of malt and the hoppiness from the red IPA style. Now, I know that you are not a big fan of this one.
No, it's way too like alcohol forward.
It's super alcohol forward. That's for sure.
Way too like the balance of it just doesn't sit right with me. It's like again, like with the New England Pale Ale, the maltiness of it just tastes off. I don't know if it's because it's in their cans or what. The maltiness doesn't taste right. It tastes stale and like old. Way too alcohol-y, and because it's practically a double IPA at 7%. It's
right.
Really hoppy too, so it's all got these very strong flavors in different categories, and breadiness and hoppiness and alcohol. I just don't think it pairs well for a red IPA. Granted, I've never been the biggest fan of red IPAs to begin with. It's always been a style that I'm kind of glad they was one of the first ones they got it out of the way to try to mix together, and they kind of realized it ain't that great of great of a mix, because honestly the only halfway decent red IPA I can think of off the top of my head that I've ever had was like Sam Adams Tasman Red back when they used to have the ones. The 24-ounce tall boy bottles of different stuff. It's just not a style that I really care for, so it's just not for me.
Real quick, what was your favorite beer of the beer fest that you had?
I have 3 toppers.
All right.
My top 3 are. My top 3 is I believe it was Rogue. I can't remember if it was Rogue or Victory. It's one of the two, and they had a black currant sour. Now
sounds like Victory to me. I don't know if it was
I think
Rogue.
it was. I think it might have been Rogue.
Interesting.
Now I didn't know what black currants are. Didn't know they were even a fruit. I just knew they were a thing because of Red Dead Redemption 2 and picking them with John Marston.
Yeah, you're right. It's the Rogue blackcurrant sour.
Yeah. So I didn't know what black currants tasted like or what they really were, because in Red Dead they say it's a herb. So when they said it was a sour, I'm like, that's kind of weird. Didn't know it was like a fruit, like a berry, like an even like older people version of like blackberries. I liked it. It was pretty sour, pretty tart, and it was really, when they pour it, it's like really red. It looks like you're like drinking like Welch's grape juice.
Yeah.
That's how like bright and luminescent it is. But it was pretty good. And I'm not the biggest sour fan, but I do like kind of a bitter blackberry taste. I thought it was pretty good.
Yep.
Second is R.S. Taylor's Samoa This Imperial Stout. If you like Samoa Girl Scout cookies and you like stouts, that's the beer for you. It tastes just like you're drinking Samoa's, like grind, like fermented into like a nice stout. It was great. It was heavy, had that nice coconut taste to it. It was very, very well balanced, because they also have like a coconut milk stout that we've had before.
I've had the coconut milk, and I'm not.
And it's not, wasn't that good, but this is like really good. And I love Samoa cookies, so it was just great. And finally, the best beer I had by a mile was River Horse's Triple Horse Triple. It was great. One of the best triples I've ever had in my life. It's very banana-y, which is, for years on this podcast, I said how I did not like that taste, but now that I've gotten older and more sophisticated,
those yeasts, you love it.
Those Belgian yeasts. I mean, I've always liked Belgian beers, but I always liked them when they're more pared down on the banana-iness. But it was very, like, clovey and banana-y and very fruity and refreshing. And it was 10% too. But it was very crisp and refreshing and light, like you were drinking a nice Hefeweizen. Oh, it was so good.
So my favorite...
I would love to, if I could find it around here, I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
Let's try to find it, yeah. My favorite was R.S. Taylor's, which is a local brewery to us. It's in Saratoga and also in Salem, New York. Their orange chocolate stout. No, I'm sorry. I think it was I'm not sure if it was a stout or a porter. I think it was, basically, doesn't really matter. They're both about the same. But their orange chocolate tasted just like those Whack and Unwrap oranges. It was really good. Very smooth. The orangeness came out, but it wasn't overpowering. And you definitely got that chocolate taste too. Definitely my favorite of the day.
To me, I compared it to like a Lindor chocolate bar.
Yeah.
Like an orange and dark chocolate. That was really good too. But
I really enjoyed that one. That one was probably my favorite that I had out of the whole day, because it was something different too. Because a lot of times you were going around and you're seeing like, okay, somebody brought their double IPA. All right, well, that's fine. Or somebody brought their New England style IPA. And so this was a little bit different. And it was also, you know what it is? It's a chocolate and blood orange stout. So it's got the blood orange flavor to it too, which is sort of a little bit different, a little tartar than a normal orange.
Yeah, so, you got giddy about that when you're like, it's an orange and chocolate. Then you went on and tapped, you're like, ooh, it's blood orange.
Blood orange. That's right. That's why it's got the tartness to it. So definitely something to look out for. Hopefully it makes its way around, because it is really... I could see that being sort of the staple of R.S. Taylor, much in the same way that Founders has some of their Kentucky breakfast stouts and stuff like that being their staple. The chocolate and blood orange I could see being R.S. Taylor's staple. So, all right. We did have a fun time.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Leprechaun 4. Like I said, I don't envision this being a super long episode about Leprechaun 4 in space. And we'll start out by talking about Brian Trenchard-Smith. So Brian Trenchard-Smith, if you're well-versed in the horror universe, you know that in the 90s and the early 2000s, Brian Trenchard-Smith had his hands in pretty much every single late entry in a fucking series. So like every sort of like 90s cheesy, low budget sequel flick that you can think of probably had Brian Trenchard-Smith somewhere on the bill for that. And Leprechaun 4 is no different. So the one thing that surprises me is that I forgot, but he also directed Leprechaun 3. And like I said, I think it's probably sort of a joint thing where they contracted and they did a 2-movie deal. But Leprechaun 3 is a lot better than Leprechaun 4. And one of the reasons for that is because Leprechaun 4 has really uninspired writing. And I kind of tend to joke and I say In Space is sort of like the place that you go when you really have no ideas left for a franchise. But that is exactly what happens in Leprechaun 4.
I know, but they beat other franchises to the punch.
True. But at this point, they were like, we got nothing. There's no earthly bounds that we can set Leprechaun in, so we gotta ship him off to space. And
What's even more cliche, especially in the 90s? Space or Vegas?
Well, you know what? They hit both. You know?
No, I know, because Leprechaun 3 was in Vegas.
Vegas is another big example. Like, a lot of people would just, like, go to Vegas. Vacation went to Vegas. And...
Vegas Vacation. Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. The sequel to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Vegas.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it was something
Viva Rock Vegas for the Flintstones.
You know what it was? It was probably Brian Trenchard-Smith behind the scenes, like... Bring him to Vegas. You don't have any ideas? Bring him to Vegas.
He owes a bunch of money to.
Yeah. And the other thing was like, they probably brought him in and he was like, so what have you done so far? Like, you been to Vegas? Yeah, we already did Vegas.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, space!
You did Vegas. Oh, yeah. Oh. Well, he's a little Ewok. He was the guy that was the Ewok in Return of the Jedi. How about space?
Yeah. It is funny.
Because there's 3 fucking, at the time, in 1996, there's 3 different Star Treks going on. You got Deep Space Nine, you got Voyager, you got the Next Gen movies going on.
Well, let's be fair.
Put it in space.
It's pretty clear Leprechaun 4 didn't use any of those sets. Because they have the bottom of the barrel set design on this film.
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now,
I'm sure.
All the Star Treks do not have
probably as cheap as this too. Maybe they did. Maybe they all just shared. They're like, you buying plastic crates? All right, we'll share them. You know, spray paint them white. We'll make them look futuristic. But yeah, Leprechaun 4's design is just like pretty much from the get-go, you're like, wow, this is such a cheap film. One thing that we immediately saw was they're drinking out of these like plastic cups that are like
blue and fluorescent blue and pink, you know.
And it's definitely nostalgic, like 95, 96 era, like go to Walmart, this is your utensils for like summer. And at one point you can even see the bottom of the cup. The bottom of the cup has that stapled sticker on it that says like here's the price was here. And as you know, and I know, when you get those cups, that sticker ain't coming off. It doesn't matter how hard you scratch at it, it's gonna leave residue from that super sticky substance that they put on there.
Fucking hate that. Like when I go to GameStop and you buy a game, they still leave like the stickers slapped on there.
Yeah, and it completely ruins your
it's like
your entire.
That's one of the reasons why I never buy anything used. Same thing like at FYE, if you bought like a used CD, they slap it on there big, and so you can show all your friends. I bought the used one.
That's exactly what they do with these cups, and you can just see the production design going on, and they're like, I can't get the sticker off. And like, leave it. No one's going to see the bottom of the cup. And lo and behold, you see the fucking bottom of the cup because they accidentally
I think it's more, no one's going to see the bottom of the cup. Quality, picture quality still 240p.
Yeah.
Now we got 4K, to illuminate everything.
One of the other things that kind of sticks out to me about Leprechaun 4 is how many soft shots there are. Just soft, like, sort of blurry shots of things, out of focus shots. There's like quite a few in this film. And
they did a couple of times with Jessica Collins, our heroine.
Yeah,
like I said to you, that to me is like just ripping off or paying homage to like the original Star Trek. Because in the original Star Trek series, anytime like Kirk was talking to a woman or something, it'd be like camera on Kirk, and then as soon as it went to go focus on the woman talking, it'd be close up, very soft focus, like.
Yeah, it could very well be homage to them as well, because I mean, it's not like Brian Trenchard-Smith doesn't recognize the different areas that he goes and is like inspired by other things,
or
like,
just ripping,
basically ripped off. Because I mean, the princess in this film totally ripped off of Leia. I mean, it's completely. She even has like armband style Leia, and everything else. It's very ripped off from Star Wars.
But she does what everyone wanted Carrie Fisher to do, and that was show us her boobies.
That's true.
You know,
that's true.
That's what everyone wanted Carrie Fisher to do. But
apparently, Brian Trenchard-Smith kind of does understand though, and I'm not saying like he definitely understands like who's watching these films, because if you've seen his other films, Night of the Demons 2, he's done a ton of sequel work. He definitely knows what to populate into these films. Boobs. For sure. And actually, Leprechaun 4, and the whole Leprechaun series primarily, boobs. Is one that, well, it's sort of lacking on the boobs. Like, this is one of those films that's sort of lacking what the boobs that it needs to sort of propel it forward for its audience.
We got, I
mean, you get bras and stuff like that.
We got the one girl running around, like, low
But if you've seen some of the other Brian Trenchard-Smith films, you know that he goes further than this. This is sort of tame in comparison to some of his other movies that he's done.
Yeah, Leprechaun 3, we got, seductive, like, I don't know, nice, booby dancing with, like, the casino guy.
That's true, that's true, yeah.
This one is in space. We got space carrying the film. We don't need titties to carry the film.
I guess. I would disagree with that statement. I mean, I think that in this film, the space element doesn't really carry it so far. This film does suffer from a lot of films from the 90s that did set themselves in space. One that I can think of that I just recently watched, Critters 4. It has the same exact problems, is that the filmmakers think if you set it in space and you have characters running around a space-like spaceship that sort of resembles Alien, that resemblance to Alien will entertain viewers.
Not even Alien 2. I mean,
Alien.
Not Alien 2.
Yeah.
Alien.
And that's not always the case. Like, people do love that sort of spaceship set ambience to it, or I'm thinking some of the other films from the 80s, like Deep Star 6, which were set opposite of space in the ocean, and they had that same sort of set. So yes, those can be really fun to watch, but they have to be designed around a really interesting plot, or else things fall apart. Or characters. And Leprechaun 4 has none of that. It does not have an interesting plot.
Everything here is just... I mean, I know the series is a parody series.
Sure, yeah.
It's always been tongue firmly pressed in cheek. So, what I would say, all this stuff that they're ripping off, it's not really ripping off. It's probably a lot more akin to homage, but it's so poorly done, we're not going to call it homage and call it ripping off. So let's count, all the space films this rips off.
Yeah, go for it.
We got Return of the Jedi with the Leia outfit for Princess Banana, no one gives a shit.
It's pretty hard to count how many, just space set shows at this time.
Aliens,
off. Yeah.
Aliens. The whole our whole cast of Marines is literally aliens.
Or Marines/Mercs. It doesn't really know what they are. At one point, they are basically, they sound like they're on contract, but they're not, because they're Marines. But I mean, it's Battlestar Galactica would be a big one. The show.
All the Star Treks airing at the time.
Every single one. I mean, probably the one that it most resembles is Star Trek.
Deep Space Nine, because that takes place on a space station.
Yeah, that would be the closest one. But it's exactly like that. I mean, you've got those parodies to The Fly.
The Thing.
And then especially the original. I mean, you get both. You get The Fly, the Jeff Goldblum version that we have already done and is perfection personified. But you also get the original Fly as well, because there's that reference to the character who becomes a spider at the end who's saying, help me. It's the exact same setup as the original Fly. Let's see what else you got.
Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove, yep.
2001.
Yeah, that's a musical cue reference. You've got Mystery Science Theater 3000 with the little CRT TVs that are sporadically placed throughout as the German guy keeps popping up in like extreme close-up.
I would say Starship Troopers, but that came out a year later.
Yeah, that I mean, maybe perhaps in essence because it was a novel beforehand, so maybe in some.
I don't know how. I don't know what the aesthetic of the.
Yeah, and I don't really know either, but I mean, there are some similarities to that for sure.
There's parts in this when it's being so over the top. I just got a feeling I'm going to hear in the background like, want to know more? You know, for like the propaganda bits from Starship Troopers, like, want to know more?
There's a John Wayne reference in here.
Yeah, because that's not.
I don't know
that's
why.
Not, you know,
all of a sudden it's just fucking in there.
That's not dated by 1997.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't. I definitely don't know why that one's in there. Just all of a sudden a John Wayne reference. It's very strange.
But this film apes a lot of its stuff. It's basically Aliens, the Star Treks at the time, Battlestar Galactica, and The Thing smashed into one clusterfuck. And then the Leprechaun, he's just here.
Yeah, for some reason running around. Yeah, that's the thing about Leprechaun 4 too, is that, like, there is just, as you started, there's no rhyme or reason at all to, like, why the Leprechaun is in space.
Hell, I had trouble. I asked you, I'm like, so what was his fate again in Leprechaun 3? Don't remember. I think he got blown up in the...
This film, like, completely ignores everything about Leprechaun, except for the fact that he's a leprechaun. There's no, like, pot of gold. There's no limericks. They
totally took, like, his gimmick of, like, being the wise-cracking limerick saying, where's me gold, you know, into, he's just here, and he says...
yeah, he's just... There's no reason.
He doesn't. They do bring up his gold once.
Yeah,
like for near the end, but for the most part, just to like get him like put into a little, you know.
Yeah, I find that completely strange. Is that like, especially because Brian Trenchard-Smith worked on Leprechaun 3. It's like, why did they just completely excise everything about Leprechaun? It doesn't even make, like, why even have it be a Leprechaun film at that point?
Why not just make it a very low-rent ripoff of The Thing in Aliens,
just set it in space, and you don't even need that. It doesn't make any sense why they decided that this has to be a Leprechaun movie. It almost seems like Brian Trenchard-Smith was shooting a completely different film, and they, like, said, no, we're not going to do that film, so he had to get Leprechaun
I'm telling you, it's because Warwick Davis signed a 99-film contract, and they're like, we gotta give him a fucking film. We gotta, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a really weird...
He's calling the studio execs, where's me film?
It's a weird smash up of all of these different disparate ideas. And I'll say that in that they never come together. Like, it's all, and some of these elements probably were shot not together, because one of the ones that really stands out is Dr. Mittenhand, who doesn't really ever have much interaction with Leprechaun. And his scenes are sort of like always shot outside. There's only a couple scenes where he actually shares with Warwick Davis. The rest of them were probably shot in one day. They're like, all right, we only got one day to do this makeup, because he's supposed to be an android thing that's like, you know, I guess part computer and part human. So they really only did probably one day of shooting with that guy, and that was it. So they don't even ever really come together and make sense as like why both of these things are happening at the same time.
All I could think of between him and his little assistant is like, and the interaction they had, and the way his assistant Harold looked, it just made me think of like Vigo and the guy from Ghostbusters 2, like, no touching of the Vigo,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Oh my dear Vigo, yeah.
Yeah, just
because that's how he acts throughout the entire thing. Like, oh yes, the Vigo.
And, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Dr. Mittenhand makes me uncomfortable. I don't like those scenes. The guy himself with his accent and everything, it makes me uncomfortable.
Very stereotypical. Yeah. That's why I was we were saying before this, I'm like, we should have just had for the intro, like, just have Peter Sellers going, Mein Führer, I can look. Because that's what he literally is in this film. He's just like this fucking bloated space Nazi.
Yeah, that's in sort of like a Wizard of Oz role. Which
I don't.
Oh yeah, we didn't mention that, but there's Wizard of Oz in here too. It's just a mashup of ideas, and nothing ever really culminates to anything. It's just it just kind of goes on and on and on, and that's part of the problem with Leprechaun 4 too, is that it just fucking keeps going.
It's an hour and 40 minutes.
It just keeps going. It's like when you think it's almost over, it's not, and it will remind you because a computer will say. This spaceship's gonna detonate in 20 minutes, and you're like, yeah, right. This movie's almost over. That's not real time.
Come on, we know.
That's like movie time.
We know how films work.
Yeah,
20 minutes.
They're gonna truncate.
Yeah, 20 minutes is 3 minutes, and 3 minutes is 20 minutes.
Yeah.
No,
that's real time. 20 minutes. So when you get that warning, you know you've got at least 20 minutes to go in the film, and that's that's a killer, really. And it becomes more apparent the longer you go because it's 20 minutes, and then. You've already watched for like 15 minutes, and you're like, this has got to be over. And then the voice comes on again. It's like, this is going to detonate in 7 minutes. You're like, no fucking way. There's no way it's going to take 7 minutes to get to the end of the film. It just keeps going. One of the problems is that like 40 minutes in, there's still 6 people alive. You're like, how the fuck? Out of 7 people, how is there still 6 people alive? It doesn't even make sense.
See, the plot doesn't make sense, period. Why are we in space? Why is the CGI ripped from, like, Wing Commander 3? I was expecting Malcolm McDowell and Mark Hamill to pop out.
The whole Leprechaun wanting a princess thing makes no sense whatsoever.
I mean, the previous films he wanted to marry the pretty girl.
He just wanted a woman.
Because he's a sexual deviant, because he's Irish.
But... the whole princess thing, there's just no rhyme or reason to it. It just happens. It's like, this is like an alternate space version of Leprechaun.
And then why is she, bitch,
Yeah. Yeah, it does nothing ever culminates into anything.
They act like at times like, Boris and Natasha from Rocky and Bullwinkle, kind of like in Wonder Woman with them, because they're like sitting behind things, like scheming and laughing, like, woohoo, they're gonna fall for it, woohoo,
Yeah. One of the other things that I really disliked about Leprechaun 4 that changes up from previous Leprechaun films is that all the kills are really, really not creative at all. In other Leprechaun films, people would like make wishes because they would want they would want gold or whatever, and so they would make wishes with Leprechaun, and so he would circumvent those wishes into something devious. In this film, nothing happened. Like Leprechaun randomly has a lightsaber. And that's how he kills people.
The one clever one is when the guy pisses on his dead body. Like, yeah, that's what we do to dead bodies. Piss on him. Yeah. And then he gets the leprechaun clap from it. And then later when he's trying to, be with them boobies, then he has a violent erection and the leprechaun explodes through his dick. We don't see it, but we see his pants and his zipper jostle all around.
That's probably the best one out of the film. But other than that,
it's still fucking stupid.
Everything is super uninspired. All of the kills, and half the time they don't even really have any impact on the film. Like, so sometimes like Leprechaun conjures handcuffs out of thin air. It's like, if Leprechaun, save us all the fucking time in the world and just kill them all. If you can conjure handcuffs out of the thin air, just fucking kill them, please. Drop an anvil on their head.
Oh, he did do that.
Yeah, he did. Basically, just go Looney Tunes on it and just fucking end this film 70 minutes early.
That's what this says. This film is the Z-list horror film Looney Tunes. You're right, because when he did drop the little metal crate on low rent Christian Bale, he basically looked at the camera and like winked, and I was expecting like a meep meep,
Well, yeah, and then half the time, all of the musical cues are like other elements. Like you get 2001: A Space Odyssey. So there's that. There's a scene where they play like what's that? Like orchestral score.
The William Tell
Overture. Yeah, the William Tell Overture. Yeah,
where he's like running like
they play the William Tell Overture. Random things just crop up here and there, and I will also say that whoever did the fucking sound design on this film, is super annoying because every single cymbal crash is a synth crash, and it's like, it's super annoying.
I love how the sounds for the guns in this film are just all over the chart. You can't tell if they're supposed to be firing bullets, if they're firing like pulses, because it's like someone went down a soundboard for like guns and just hit like every single one, like. Boo!
Well, the way that Leprechaun explodes at one point seems to indicate that there's some sort of like futuristic.
Well, that would make sense.
Explosive rounds.
Because they're in fucking space and have, like, travel through space. Now, guys, still using bullets. Haven't figured out, anything a little bit more sophisticated than, firing bullets.
Well, they also haven't figured out how to use anything besides the Doom door opening. Because the sound effects of the doors opening is, like, straight ripped from Doom. It's like...
All this movie was missing is, like, in the House of the Dead movie where it goes to, like, the arcade game. Remember that part in...
I don't know. I've never seen House of the Dead.
You've never seen it?
No, I've never bothered. We gotta do that one.
Guess what movie we'll be watching?
Yeah, I know.
Have you seen any Uwe Boll films?
Yeah, I've seen Blood Rain, which is fucking terrible.
Okay, but anywho, there's a part in House of the Dead where, like, they're like, all right, let's go, and they're, like, gonna start, like, killing the zombies.
And it goes right into the video
game. Right into the, like, the arcade game. It's hilariously bad.
In Leprechaun, it could. Why not?
The effects of Doom looked a lot better,
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Or Quake, they might as well have been Doom or Quake. Just like, it's so bad.
It's hard to find good things to say about Leprechaun 4. The thing that really sticks out, though, is that this film is not even fun to watch. It's not, like, we're joking about it, and we're finding the best parts of the film, but honestly, it's 95 to 100 minutes of just sheer boredom, of just things happening, and I would say a good 50 minutes of the film is people running around away from Leprechaun. It's so boring. Like, you would think that would be at least somewhat fun, but it's not. It's just watching people run and try to act scared. And it's super...
And there's no tension. So if you're taking the idea from Aliens or The Thing, where it's supposed to be secluded on this air, either at, this Arctic base or this space station or spaceship, it's total... Because it's a comedy horror, there's no suspense, so them running around just ends up being like the fucking Scooby-Doo gang, and they're getting chased by Old Man Jenkins. Yeah. And then they have this whole subplot with Dr. Mittenfit, Captain Mittens, and what was that for?
Right.
Oh, he wanted to, because he's a hideous thing, and he wants to become human again by taking the prince. Goes nowhere, just so later on he can turn into...
like a spider fly thing.
He's literally looks like a very low rent combination of Brundlefly and
that's probably the best effect in the film is whatever
they made sure to blur that though, like when like every like his like make it like a soft focus shot and blur it
so that you don't see the seams and everything. Yeah. Some of the other effects though, like Warwick Davis being gigantified, super awful. Like, I mean, it's pixelated. It's like,
just imagine that on a nice CRTV watching that. Like, it's just a 8-bit pixel coming at me.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other effects are just astoundingly bad.
The one Sergeant Marine's metal plate in his head, that looked fucking atrocious. The whole set designs are atrocious. This literally looks like, instead of being a film, they're trying to pitch it to UPN or WB, like, hey, we got this great,
The credits, absolutely. The credits are like,
make it look
just joined in progress the Deep Space Nine episode of Leprechaun 4. Because it's like very much like TV credits. Just
expecting Cisco to come walking out, like, what's going on today? How's the war going today?
Yeah.
Not good? Okay.
The funny thing about this is, though, that a lot of people did go on to do other things, like Jessica Collins. Apparently, we found out she's from our area. She went to Amsterdam High School, which is only about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes away from us. And then she also, I guess she was born in Schenectady.
Yeah.
So that's very close to us, but she's also gone on to do some shitty films and also It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Her best role, the 2 episodes of that she's in, It's Always Sunny, is Weather Girl with Big Titties, Jackie DiNardo. It's great.
And then
I knew she looked familiar too. And I was like, not because her boobs are big in this, but like her face and the way she's talking. Like, God, she sounds really familiar. And then also the guy who plays Styx the entire time, I was like, God, he sounds and looks really familiar too. And then I look it up. He starred in Juwanna Mann, everyone's favorite 2002 sports film.
Yeah, but some of the other ones he was in, Return of the Living Dead, she'd probably know.
Street Fighter is DJ.
Street Fighter, Friday the 13th Part 5. So he's been in quite a bit as well. He's had his hand in quite a few cult films.
And that's Miguel Nunez Jr.
Yep. Other than that, though, like I guess pretty much everyone else hasn't had super huge roles. Debbie Dunning really stood out to us in the credits because it sounds like a porn star name. She's not a porn star, but she was in quite a few episodes of Home Improvement. So she had some stuff too.
What?
Boy Meets World. She made her way around the TGIF world.
Guy Senior starred in a British sitcom in the 80s. I can't remember what it was called, but I saw that.
Allo?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. But he played Lieutenant Hubert Gruber, so it sounds pretty apropos to him for
coming off like
what he was playing in this film. Kind of the one thing that I find pretty interesting is that Guy Siner does look a lot like Brian Trenchard-Smith, though. If you take a look at Brian Trenchard-Smith, especially when he like had no hair, he looks exactly like Brian Trenchard-Smith now could play that android that's in Leprechaun 4 because he's like they look like the same guy. But yeah, like I said, Brian Trenchard-Smith had his hand in a lot of sequels and shit during this time, especially in the 90s too. Like he was all over those types of really low budget films. Some of his most well knowns would be like Night of the Demons 2. I would say then he did like a whole bunch of like TV movies, so he's right in line with like TV movies for that era as well.
I was really expecting Kevin Sorbo to pop out.
That's
watch
the
this.
cave set design does look like a Hercules
or Xenia episode.
Yeah, it does.
They need to put that back on Netflix so I can,
you can get through it.
Yeah, and just like, wow.
I would like to revisit and see if it's like as bad as watching like Leprechaun 4 because it's been a while. I used to watch Hercules and Xena, but I imagine now thinking back on it, like, yeah, that's probably a pretty bad show.
Some of the designs in this too remind me of Mortal Kombat Conquest, the show that was on for one season on WB.
Like the chain area in the ship, and
the cave. It looked like, oh, how's Kung Lao gonna beat Shang Tsung?
Yeah.
Tune in, guys, to find out.
Yep.
I did really like that show as a kid. What'd you think? So, I can't get over this, like, the design of the laboratory.
Yeah. Just
all those
cheap
vials and they just looks like a Creepy Crawlers commercial because everything's just bubbling over, and it's just like they went to the store and they're like, get every Kool-Aid pack flavor you can.
Yeah.
And we're going to make... Because like when they're taking the blood out of the princess, it's like
blue.
Bright blue.
Yeah, it's like whatever was that? Like blue raspberry?
Yeah, like blue raspberry.
Blue raspberry Kool-Aid. Yeah.
It just looks so chintzy and cheap. The airlock bay does kind of look like an even lower rent version of like the airlock, the cargo bay in like Star Trek Next Gen.
Yep. The whole set design, and you did point out that when Leprechaun grows into like his giant version, they definitely have just like like plastic crates.
They just look so goddamn. They're the clear.
Yeah, they're clear plastic.
Like the off-white, like eggshell white, like we got white eggshell, eggshell white, which the one that. I mean, the white looks better, but gets dirtier quicker. The egg one, at least it looks like it's scuffed up and dirty for you.
Oh, the other thing too is in the laboratory, all of like the computer effects that are on screen, you can completely tell like they're just like static pictures,
decals,
just
slapped on.
Stickers.
It's kind of like when you have like your like little monster truck as a kid that you drive around. It's got like the speed gauge and all that,
like the sticker on it,
and but they're just static, so it's like
Yeah, there's one scene in particular where the doctor guy, whoever that guy is, that
Harold.
Yeah, Harold. He like goes up and he's like supposed to be tapping on like a keyboard or something, and like not. He's like touching a wall. That's it. Like you don't see any response or anything. The other thing I noticed is there's supposed to be like this futuristic clipboard that our main character picks up and is like doing calculations in it because she's working on the princess. Well, when the computer pans over to it, you can see like there's just like a calculator that's in the middle of the clipboard, and that's the type of effects that you get in this film for sure.
Nice silly string.
Yeah, silly string. Silly string, like, well, it's supposed to be spiderweb, I guess, but I don't know. Yeah, pretty cheap effects in here. I am curious as to what they made this film for. IMDb lists it at $1,600,000, which, I mean, I feel is fairly high in, thinking about, like, set design and stuff, because... I mean, I'm wondering if many of that went to like Warwick Davis.
No, I think Brian Trenchard-Smith just pocketed it.
I don't know. That seems like a really high budget for something this shoddily.
Look at this. It's great on the IMDb. Goofs. And it's just one. I'm sure there's more than just one goof.
I don't know. Let's see. There's more. So there could be more than that.
The whole thing.
There's a couple.
I wonder if one's about the cups and the stick.
Yeah, I don't see any. Yeah. No. That's pretty much all I've got about Leprechaun 4. It's a really bad movie. It's not even fun to watch. Like I said, the real-time element of having to sit through 20 minutes of detonation time, that's really a killer. Once you begin to figure out, like, nope, they weren't joking. Like, that's going to be 20 real-time minutes of, watching people run around trying to avoid Leprechaun. That's difficult. Do you have anything else you want to add? Or should we just go right into a rating?
Might as well go into the rating.
I agree.
Because it's just hard to explain the plot overall too.
Well, there is none really.
I know, but the fact,
nothing.
But the fact that there's just so many branches, and I don't know. I'm having a hard time just processing. That's 100 minutes of my life. Just
that's right. Yeah,
gone.
And the thing is, I think once you get into Leprechaun in the Hood, which I have seen, I hadn't seen Leprechaun 4 in Space, but Leprechaun in the Hood is at least somewhat enjoyable to watch.
I have not seen this one either.
I had not seen it. No,
I'm pretty sure I have seen Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yeah. At least Leprechaun in the Hood is a little bit enjoyable. Leprechaun 4 is just devoid of all fun.
Do you think that Warwick Davis was just improvising his lines, and that's probably why they're so bad?
I don't know, because it does seem like they just decided, we're not going to write limericks anymore.
And not only that, but just, very randomly, he'll be like, take a lot more than that to scare me, pilgrim.
Yeah.
And then not say anything, and then be like, hey, big is better.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe he did, or, like you said, maybe somebody was, when they were sitting around writing the script, they really did think this was,
they had to.
A knee slapper.
I could just see them writing and and then he'll do this.
It's a knee slapper.
Just chuckling to
Other than that, I don't know. I really don't know how you would. I mean,
I can see them too at the ending of when he blows up in space, you get the 6 SNES leprechaun finger flying by, flipping him off. Oh, I guarantee whoever wrote that was just... They laughed a good while about he's gonna flip him off at the...
I know.
What a movie!
I gotta come up with a rating scale, and I'm really struggling on what to use for this one. Because I was trying to think of like something that's iconic in the film that's also sort of funny, but there really isn't anything that's iconic and also funny. I'm just gonna go with out of 10 Kool-Aid packets, because that's probably what they use pretty much throughout the whole film.
This is the catering too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, what do you got? We just got fruit punch.
I'm pretty sure I did see like Country Time lemonade in one of the robots' vials as well. So, out of 10 packets of Kool-Aid, what would you give Leprechaun 4 in space?
I'll give it a 3. I'm really close to giving it the lowest rating on the show so far. I'm really close to giving it 2.5, but it's not quite as bad as Mako. You know what? Mako might be a more enjoyable film than this.
Yeah.
This is bad. This is real bad. Everyone is terrible to watch in this film. Warwick Davis is just not even trying. The script is non-existent and existent at the same time, and for the fact that there's nothing to it, but it's overly convoluted. It's that great dichotomy. The soundtrack just zithers away. It has every horrible, stereotypical cliche from every big space movie and TV show at the time. This film is not fun. That's the biggest thing. The whole point of the Leprechaun films is they're supposed to be tongue-in-cheek and funny and be creative with the way they kill. And there's none of that. All the deaths are off-screen, just about. You don't get to see them. Warwick Davis isn't making any quips and limericks. It's like they've gotten so far off from what the original film was that I don't even know why this was even bothered. So I'd give it a 3. This is a terrible watch. It's terribly boring, and there's no fun to be found. It's just a black hole of enjoyment and artistic integrity.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would probably give it like 3.5. I don't really know. It is just like a film that's not fun. It's one of those movies that you would think would be at least sort of funny, and you could at least make fun of it if for anything else. But I would say for about 80% of the film, there's really not even anything happening. It's just people running through an empty spaceship, trying to act, and it really becomes a test of patience. Is like you get to those points where they literally are counting down the time until the film ends. Like that's not how you want your film to be. Is like people waiting for the robotic voice to come on and say like, yep, you only got 6 minutes to go here. You just got to get through it. But that's exactly what happens in Leprechaun 4. And it's sort of, like I said throughout the episode, it's sort of weird that Brian Trenchard-Smith also did Leprechaun 3 because it seemed like he had a better handle on the Leprechaun series at that time. Seems like with Leprechaun 4, they really just started to not really give a shit about what they were doing with the Leprechaun series or sticking to the Leprechaun character. They threw out all of the limericks. They got rid of all of the sort of the interesting elements to Leprechaun about how he grants wishes, but they're not in they're not the way that the wisher intended. Stuff like that. There's no gold to be had really. He doesn't even really focus on gold. Nothing about this really screams Leprechaun. It's almost like they took a script and they tried to cram Leprechaun into it. So overall, just really not an enjoyable watch at all. I wouldn't recommend this one out of the series. I think it's probably the worst out of the series. And that's saying something because we really struggled with Leprechaun 1 and Leprechaun 3. I mean, Leprechaun 3 is not great, but it's definitely way better than this one. So definitely don't even bother checking out Leprechaun 4. It's no surprise that I've never seen it before. I mean, I knew about it. It was one of like you said, it was one of those films that was constantly in video stores.
Saw it all the time.
Yeah, but I never checked it out, and I guess that's for good reason. So
I'm sure if I grabbed it, my mom would be like, "Put that shit away."
Yeah,
you rent Scream 3 instead.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right, so we are coming back next week with Captain Marvel. We're going to do our best to see it this weekend, I hope so. We actually lost a theater. We only have 2 theaters. We lost one. So hopefully it's going to be playing in the theater near us, or else we're going to have to sort of make a road trip or something.
How butt fucking backwards would our area have to be? Hey, kids! You want to go see Disney's newest thing? Too bad.
Yeah, right? I mean, I can't imagine.
Might as well just shut down the other theater then as well.
I can't imagine they're not going to have Captain Marvel, but we'll just have to make sure that we're able to go see it. So we definitely plan on being back next week for our episode on Captain Marvel.
A superhero we know nothing about.
That's right. And I've heard that it's helpful if you go in with some knowledge about Captain Marvel. And I have no idea about Captain Marvel. I don't know anything
I do
about
know.
the character.
Okay, so it's Billy Bastion, and he's empowered by the Greek pantheon, and he says the word Shazam, he turns into... Oh, wait, no.
Oh, shit. That one's coming out pretty soon, too, isn't it?
That's the other Captain Marvel. That's not Captain
coming out
Marvel.
in April. We got to do that one, too.
You know, and that means we got to do Infinity War 2, and...
Yeah, I know.
Really? They're putting...
Back to back.
They're putting Shazam out at...
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea, but...
It's like they don't want to make money.
I don't know.
It's
I mean, I am excited for Captain Marvel. I do want to see it. I want to see what they do. And I really just want to get to this last part of Avengers and see where they go from there.
the last part, that's funny.
Well, of this iteration. I want to see what their intentions are for the next arc of this apparently decade-long saga that they have going on. Can you imagine, 50 years from now and we're still we're doing another Marvel film?
I can, because it's owned by Disney now.
I know. 50 years from now, we're going to be like, yep, on to number 278 in the Marvel series.
What do you think the Jonas Brothers are back together? Got some money to make, bitches!
So, yeah, all the listeners are in luck. We're back next week, and then we're taking a week off after that. So, thank you for listening to our painful St. Patrick's Day episode. We're on Leprechaun back in the hood Leprechaun in the Hood next year. We're on iTunes, Podcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. We're on it, so please leave us a nice review and subscribe to us. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Blood and Black Rum Podcast. We're on Twitter at Blood and Black Rum. We do have an email address at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. And as always, if you want to recommend any movies or give us some feedback on our show, you can certainly feel free to email us there. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week for Captain Marvel.
Take care.